Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. A familiar item on many farm vehicles will be going away soon. Watermelon is the featured menu item in the heart of the home, and 'tis the season for trimming at Virginia Christmas Tree Farms.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Cherrydale Farm in Hanover County. Many Virginia farmers have several unlicensed vehicles on their property. Burke Mueller reports a new law is phasing out the conventional farm use placard.
Farm placards like the one on this truck behind me will soon be a thing of the past thanks to a bill signed into law earlier this year. The bill Governor Glenn Youngkin signed on April 1st of this year formalizes a redesign of the placards that have been a staple on Virginia agricultural vehicles for many years. This is a preliminary design provided by Virginia's Department of Motor Vehicles. The new placards will indicate that a vehicle the owner claims is used exclusively for purposes that exempt farmers from registration and licensing fees, such as taking agricultural materials to and from a farm for sale or processing, or a few other limited uses. Since the old placards could be bought by anyone, some non-farmers have used them to avoid paying fees or registering their vehicles.
We have seen examples of people that have lost their driver's license, didn't have insurance on their vehicle, or didn't have the ownership of a vehicle, may have thrown farm use on their vehicle to get away with something. Farmers have long had a concern that somebody that wasn't using them properly would have an accident and flee an accident scene, or they were using them so much it was going to give farmers a black eye.
Delegate Robert Bloxam, who represents Virginia's Eastern Shore, has been working for years to get farm use placards modified. He says lawmakers were seriously considering doing away with the program.
You could hear the grumblings like, we got to do something about these farm use tax. We have to do something. Well, you either decide how you use them or you lose them, was my theory. Good legislation, I think, takes 2 or 3 years. And this was not a 10-minute write it up and go. This was, like I said, collaboration between DMV and law enforcement and Farm Bureau to come up with a program that was acceptable to everybody. So when it came forward, there was almost no discussion. Everybody kind of said, okay, this is a way we can fix this problem.
The new legislation requires Virginia farmers to apply for farm use placards through the Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles. In the past, drivers could pick up the informal tags at retail outlets. The new DMV-obtained placards will be non-transferable. They also must be displayed at all times. Only the following vehicles are eligible: pickup or panel trucks, sport utility vehicles, vehicles with a gross weight rating greater than 7,500 pounds, and trailers and semi-trailers. Applicants must also provide the name of the vehicle owner or lessee, the location and acreage of each farm where the vehicle will be used, as well as the type and amount of agricultural commodity produced annually. Applicants must sign a statement indicating that the vehicle will be used for purposes set forth in the Code of Virginia and that it has liability insurance. There's also a $15 fee. Many farmers were concerned that their operating costs would jump if the program was eliminated.
It's really important because this truck behind me would cost, the license plates would be $3,000 or $4,000 to run it. With farm use, I get to keep that money to use it in other agricultural things, and I still have to meet all the requirements. Insurance, the truck has to meet all the state inspection requirements, even though it doesn't have to be inspected. I still have to meet all the requirements. I just get to save that money, and I'm restricted on my distance, which is fine.
Pemberton said lawmakers eventually recognized that the previous informal farm use placards were potentially putting people in harm's way.
It's a hazard to the general public. And when that realization finally came together, then working with my delegate and of course other delegates across the state, they all came together and said, yes, this is common sense legislation that everybody can support. No matter what your party affiliation was, this was good for agriculture. And so that's how we got it.
The law goes into effect on July 1st, 2023, to give everyone time to understand the new regulations and turn in their paperwork to the Department of Motor Vehicles. In Hanover County, Virginia, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
The recent debate concerning farm use placards is just the latest example of how important transportation issues are to Virginia farmers. Taking vegetables to market, cattle to a livestock sale, or grain to a dealer is done at the farmer's expense. But if a rural road is in bad shape, that can slow down all kinds of farm transport. Because a full tanker truck of milk can weigh 80,000 pounds, dairy farmers often petition to have local roads and bridges repaired or upgraded. Even roadside litter is a problem for farmers. Plastic bags and other trash can contaminate a crop during harvest and cause mechanical breakdowns.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, I'm going to talk about insects and pests that you don't want indoors. So stay with us.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
Certain insects are a nuisance every year to gardeners. Mark Viette discusses how to deal with them in the garden.
Certain insects can be a problem, and later in the season, they might invade your home. Now, at first I thought this was the box elder bug, and it's really not, but it's related to the box elder bug. It's called the golden rain tree bug. And this bug feeds on the seed pods from the golden rain tree that is way above me. Beautiful yellow flowered summer blooming tree. Box elder bugs look a lot alike, and the box elder bugs feed on the winged seed from the box elder tree or box elder maple. Really, the best way to get rid of, box elder bugs can be a real problem. I get so many calls on the radio about that. You might just need to remove the box elder maple, or if it's your neighbors, talk them into removing that tree, because there's literally tens and tens of thousands. Now, on the golden rain tree bug, you can look where they've congregated in mass by the hundreds, and they're not feeding on the wild grape, but they're amassed on a wild grape. And they're amassed on the golden rain tree leaves here. They also carpet the ground, and there's literally thousands of them on the ground here, and I'll show you what they look like on a white piece of paper. Late summer, we have a problem with crickets coming in the house. They find little nooks and crannies to get in, and you can hear them chirping all night long. Later than that, you start getting spiders to come in, and I found 2 or 3 different types of spiders that had just gotten in my house just the other day. So spiders come in, crickets come in, stink bugs come in, box elder bugs come in. Now keep in mind, I prefer not to spray chemicals inside the house. The best defense is a defense, and you spray outside your house. Maybe a perimeter spray, maybe around your windows. Always follow the labeled directions. Maybe on your walkway that goes around your door. That's important to help prevent the insects from coming in. Once they come in, you've got a problem. And I can tell you, stink bugs have the best ability to get in your house. I just picked off a couple stink bugs off the windows in here that they had snuck in on. And, you know, you can vacuum them up. I used to have a cat, that Pumbaa, that would eat them, and for whatever reason liked the flavor. They do shoot out an oozing scent. I've seen it at night with a flashlight. It squirts out. It's a foul smell. But they can find any way to get into the house. Now, I do know that they're attracted to the south part of the home or the west part of the home that is warmer. So if you have screens, they'll fly against the house, hit the screen, stick to the screen, and then crawl in around your window and find a way in the house. So I sometimes recommend taking screens off. Again, repelling them is the best. I've heard that people use things like cloves and lavender, and they put that in their windows to help repel some of these insects and pests that can get indoors. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Coming up, pork belly watermelon tacos. Stay with us.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
Tacos are an easy menu item any time of the year. Chef Tammy Brawley gives them a summertime twist in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Today we're going to show you some delicious pork belly tacos with watermelon. So let's get started. People often ask me, what is pork belly? Believe it or not, it is actually bacon. It's bacon before it's been sliced. This is a piece of pork belly I have in front of me. You'll notice that most of the meat is on top. We've got a layer of fat on the bottom. I'm not going to trim that fat off. Fat is actually very important because you want it to render in the pan itself, but you also want it to be as part of the flavor profile. What I have here is about a tablespoon of 5-spice powder. This is a Chinese powder. You can pick this up in the grocery store. We're going to sprinkle that onto the pork belly all over. And we're going to add a little salt to it as well. We're just going to dry rub it. And then we're going to let it sit for about 20 minutes. And then we're going to sear it off in the pan and then put it in the oven for 2.5 hours. All right, so our pork belly has dry rubbed with 5-spice powder and salt, and it sat for about 20 minutes. Now we're going to sear it off in a hot pan. We're going to turn this on. Whatever fat you want to use is fine. I wouldn't do a lot because we are going to render fat from the pork belly itself, so I'm just going to squeeze in some olive oil there. We'll go ahead and make our sauce. We've got some beef broth here we're going to add to our dish. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of a soy sauce. I'm using a tamari here. Tamari happens to be gluten-free. You don't have to do tamari. You can certainly use regular soy sauce. I would recommend maybe the less sodium type of soy sauce, but we're using a tamari there. We're actually going to do some chopped ginger or grated ginger. And I like to add a little bit of a star anise. This is a spice. It is actually dry, but it adds a lot of flavor. They look like little stars. So we're going to drop in 2 of those. Going to whisk that up again. And now our pan is ready for our pork, so we're going to come over. I like to start with the fat side down because it's going to sear it pretty quickly. So you want probably about a medium to medium high heat on this. I'm looking at that. I think that's pretty good. And we're going to let that go until it's brown on all sides. All right, so our pork belly has seared nice and brown on all sides. Time to put it in our dish with our sauce that we made. I'm actually putting that meat side down so that nice sauce and marinade penetrates that pretty well. We're going to cover our dish with foil, and it's going to go into the oven for 2.5 hours. All right, so our pork belly has braised in the oven for 2.5 hours, and then we let it cool in that same sauce liquid for an hour, and then we took it out of the liquid and put it in the refrigerator for yet another hour. I know it's an in-depth process, but it's well worth the flavor profiles. One of the reasons you want to let it dry out in the refrigerator is you want that you want it to be somewhat dry when we go to sear it off for our tacos. So we've got our done pork belly here. The fat side is on the top. I've got a burner warming up here. Now, before we go any further, I also want to mention that that sauce that we had the pork in, we are going to reduce it down, and we are going to create a nice little glaze or a sauce to go over top of our tacos. So while this is warming up, we're going to put a little olive oil in our pan. And I'm going to cut the pork belly into squares. This is basically for serving pieces. You could shred this if you wanted to. I personally like the presentation that I'm going to create for you, but I'll leave that up to you and your culinary talents, we'll say. Now we're going to sear off a few squares of the pork belly. While that's searing off, we're going to go ahead and dice some watermelon. Now the key here for the presentation is that you want your pieces of watermelon to be about the same size as your pieces of pork belly. And we want to cut a lime to have ready to squeeze over top of it. The sauce is looking beautiful. It's getting thick. All we're doing at this point is searing it off and giving it a nice little crusty exterior. And one of the things I like to talk to people about is when they thicken sauces. I love this little trick. If you take your whisk or your spoon and you look at it and you want to know, oh gosh, is that thick? If you take your whisk out and actually run your fingertips on it and rub it between your finger and your thumb, you should feel a certain viscosity there, almost oily to a certain extent. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our pork belly on our tortillas. And now we're going to take our watermelon and we're going to put it over top. Make a nice little geometric presentation there. And now we're going to come back with that sauce we've created. Oh, it smells so good. I just want to drizzle that right over the top. So we can come back and now squeeze that lime right over the top. Oh, wow, beautiful. And there you have it, pork belly watermelon tacos. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Watermelons are raised on 338 Virginia farms, covering 773 acres. While there are watermelon farms across most of the state, the largest concentration of growers is in Southampton County. That's where sandy soil and good irrigation lead to good crops. While popular with consumers, watermelons are usually not a home garden crop. Each watermelon vine needs a minimum of 25 to 36 square feet for good production, far larger than the typical backyard garden space. To see some prize-winning watermelons, visit the State Fair of Virginia this fall. The record-holding giant watermelon there weighed 254 pounds in 2018.
Raising Christmas trees is not always about winter coats and hot chocolate. Ricky Gibson reports that the heavy work for Christmas tree growers happens when temperatures are in the 90s.
Raising Christmas trees is a year-round job for Virginia growers, but the hot, sweaty work in the summer pays off months later.
We learned that You do a lot of the pruning early in the morning and late in the evening, and you can do a lot of the mowing at different times of the day. So it's something that you may be saying, yeah, it's really hot and humid, but it's something that we learn just how to manage that.
Ryan Klaus is the current president of the Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association. Summer is when trees are shaped into their traditional conical form by trimming, and the grass always has to be cut. His family tree farm started as an FFA project in 1977, and they do all the labor themselves to save money. It's been a good investment for them.
The live Christmas tree industry has seen a boom here in recent years, especially with the choose and cut operations. They've really increased the business, and it's something that we saw a huge boom during the COVID epidemic. It was something that folks wanted to get out of their houses and go visit, have fresh air, and spend the time with their families. So we've seen a market increase in the past couple of years, and we see that as being a good thing to continue into the future.
Eric Biebighauser of Havenwood Farms certainly hopes live Christmas trees remain popular. He started planting them 10 years ago and hopes to start selling in 2023. His farm is close enough to the Washington, D.C. market that he's expecting a lot of customers.
I know that pine trees especially require trimming during the summer, but we don't grow any pines. All of ours are firs and spruces. And you can trim those into the fall without any serious implication on how the tree looks or performs the next year. So I usually wait until it's a little cooler. But the more trees we have, and we now have about 17,000 in the ground here, the more work there is every year to do the trimming. And so this year I'm planning to start a little earlier before it cools off too much, just so I can get ahead of it.
Like other farmers, Christmas tree growers worry about changing market demand and production costs.
And we'll go through.
Klaus and Biebighauser say the current high inflation rate hasn't hit too hard yet, especially since they can spread their expenses over the 8 to 10 years it takes to raise a tree to market size. And while maintaining the trees is hard work, it has a special appeal.
The reason I do this is because the labor that goes into operating a farm like this kind of balances my soul. To me, this is freedom. My day job is usually sitting in front of a computer screen, or I'm on phone calls, and so the chance to get outside and do some physical labor really is a healthy balance for me. But we're also investing in our future. And every bit of energy and investment and time and money that we put into the farm feels like it's going to pay a return someday. And so my personal dream is to retire from my day job and be a full-time Christmas tree farmer.
Our season goes all year long. I mean, we have fertilizer applications in the winter. We do some cutting out of trees that aren't pre-min trees, and then we'll start into planting in the spring, and then we'll go into the mowing and the trimming throughout the summer times and even into the fall.
Every summer, the Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association holds a competition among members, and the winner gets bragging rights and the chance to supply a tree for the Virginia Executive Mansion that season. That's one reason to join the association, but there's also a strong camaraderie among Christmas tree growers.
One thing we do recommend to other individuals looking to get into the industry is visit with multiple other operations, because it's something that we find individuals that get into it don't realize the time commitment, they don't realize the management that's needed for the trees, and it's something that we in the industry want to see them succeed.
It's been a bit comforting to me to talk to other Christmas tree farmers and realize that that process of learning and experimenting really never ends. And no matter how long people have been growing Christmas trees, there's a new challenge almost every year. So it's comforting to know that I'm not alone in experiencing those challenges.
Of course, the big payoff comes at the end of the year when the sales begin and trees begin to leave the farm. At Pine Hill Farm, they have a full agritourism operation for families to enjoy, including a reindeer train.
Going out and having the folks walk from one side of the farm to another is great exercise, but it's something that we think when they bring their dogs and other family members, just something that they're going to remember when they're sitting around Thanksgiving dinner table and Christmas dinner table all throughout the year. They're going to say, remember when we went to the tree farm and found this tree. It was the first one we saw, but we had to go half a mile to find that original tree.
It's a wholesome, enterprise that I think a lot of people can relate to, and so that's been a reward in and of itself to share our story and our vision of building a barn, putting the trees in the ground, having a place for people to come and make those memories, and to be a part of that in many years to come is definitely a big reward in our minds.
Demand for fresh-cut Christmas trees has been strong the past few years, so it pays to plan ahead. If you want to find a Virginia Christmas tree grower near you, check their website, virginiachristmastrees.org. In Clark County, Virginia, I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us. All of us. You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food. You're going to need our determination, our compassion. You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
We have 37 parks across the Commonwealth. Every year, 10 million visitors enjoy 600 miles of trails from beaches to mountains, hundreds of cabins and campsites, even yurts. We are Virginia State Parks.
Observe a domesticated human family in their natural habitat, known to their species as the backyard.
Hey, you think I should light it now?
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Oh dear, someone is about to burn a pile of debris that's too tall, which can start a wildfire. Wait, could it be? Blimey, it is.
It's Smokey.
It's Smokey Bear. What a legend.
Hey, it's Smokey. Sorry, it was too high. Right.
Watch as he astutely ensures that there's no wind, and how he removes some of the debris to create a smaller, safer burning pile.
No, you said make it bigger, baby. The bigger the better.
Take note of our fearless furry friend here, humans.
I appreciate it. Fist bump.
Watching you.
Smokey's done it again.
Bye, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.